What's going on, team? Welcome to an episode of the Keep Going Podcast, Season 2. This is your co-host, Luke Wheat, coming out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Before the show starts, make sure to follow us on our socials. Okay, Twitter, the Keep Going Pod, Insta, the KG Podcast, and YouTube at the KG Pod. Just a reminder that we are not psychiatrists and not psychologists, just a couple ex-athletes trying to make a difference and end the stigma of mental health. Thank you guys for listening, and let's get to the show.
Hey team, before episode 73, I want to jump in and wish Steve Peterson, Coach P of Power Pipe Hitting, a speedy recovery. Coach Steve was in a pretty serious car wreck last Tuesday for our listeners that aren't familiar, and they've been a supporter of the podcast from day one. So on behalf of myself, Luke Wheat, David Mitchell, and the whole Keep Going community, keep going, Coach. We love you. Wishing you a speedy, prayer-heavy recovery. Love you, Coach.
Welcome, team, to episode 73 of the Keep Going Podcast, Athletes Shining the Light on Mental Health. We're getting going early this morning with the laughs and the prelude. Excited to have Pat O'Malley and Noah Ray here. Pat, where are you coming at this morning?
I'm going to tell you this. I'm live from my kitchen. I got salmon going in the air fryer. This would only be my 58th episode plugging meal prepping your week. So I just want to shout that out one more time.
I think it's 59, but that's good.
It's all good. You know how to catch me on these Sunday mornings. Noah, where are you coming out of, my man?
I'm in my office at work today.
Love it.
Amazing.
Man. Grinding on a Sunday. How's the week been for you?
It's been good. I mean, we just ended season on the guy side this week, so it's been kind of a weird lull with them. But the women's are still going for another week, so we've been rock and rolling the last week still.
Okay, got it. And to trying to avoid butchering another thing about your beautiful college, it's Fond du Lac, correct? Is where you guys are at?
Fond du Lac.
There it is,
Fond
man.
du Lac. There
it is, man. But yeah, I'm a NAC guy. We're all D3 guys at heart, so we definitely want to shout that out. But Luke, definitely excited to have you here, bro. Where are you coming out of, man? Are you in your room? Where are you at?
Oh, I'm in Corrington, baby. Knoxville, Tennessee up here. I'm in the room. Nice little Sunday. We got the Masters on. I know it's a men's volleyball episode, but we got the Masters on today, so that's going to consume about 5 to 6 hours of my day later.
Okay, so when Shambo puts that ball in the water yesterday, woof.
I thought it was done. I thought he was going to explode. That's all I got to say about that. I thought he was going to explode.
Let's leave it at that. Consistency. I usually go off consistency and past results. And after he didn't make the cut the last couple of years, you kind of felt like that might be happening. So all good. But besides Masters talk, obviously we got Noah Ray on here, jack of all trades. Noah, we're 73 episodes in, man. And we've never had someone coaching 2 college teams at once. So before we go into anything, tell me about that experience, what you love about college coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I prefer to be in season. I think the grind is sometimes so much easier in season versus out of season. The problems you have and the schedule, I think, is just so much more consistent with having to work through the scouting reports, having to work through, travel itineraries and things like that. And so I think for me, it just the busybody in me much rather be in season than being out of season. So going back to back from August till, now in April, it's definitely a grind, but I love the grind. And that's why, I do this profession, just being in season, being around the game, I think was the biggest thing when I was transitioning out of being an athlete into a coach. It was just, I didn't want to feel disconnected from the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's whenever I got hired at Maryville to do the goalkeepers, I was like, I'm not going to do recruiting. I was like, I'll do the goalkeepers. You send me a couple of videos. The off-season problems are way different than the in-season problems. So I can totally empathize with that for sure.
Yeah, and I love it, man. I think you walked into an opportunity because this is what number school is this for you coaching-wise?
Oh, gosh, this is number 4. I believe.
You're still in single digits. You're young, man. You're still in single digits. I had to make sure. My question would be more along the lines of mental health for you, like during this time, because I know you love the grind. I know you love impacting athletes, but talk about when things are going good during the season, what you're kind of doing outside of volleyball, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think it looks different for everybody. I think everyone has their outlet. And so for me, I think it was, I live in the weight room when I'm not here. I need that release. I need to get my anger out in a healthy way. So
yeah.
I think for me to just keep myself on track, I'm lifting once a day, if not twice a day. And then minus that, I'm such a clean freak, so I'll organize my place, I'll meal prep for the week, I'll over prepare. And then anytime that I have outside of that, it's truly just watching TV, relaxing.
Nice.
I always kind of tell everyone I feel like my outlets are so boring in comparison, but it's what works for me for the time being. Of just going to the gym and meal prepping are like my two favorite things to do when I feel antsy during season. So those are definitely where I've depended on the most.
I'm gonna let Luke go, because we might be able to trap him into a nice intervention about meal prepping today. If we try hard enough, it might happen. So I'm gonna let Luke go first.
Yeah, we may nail this down today. No, I think that's totally understandable, though, what you say about kind of the come downs being a little bit boring. That's college coaching in a nutshell, right? The highs and lows, right? In season, you peak at a game, and then you got a couple days of rest before you peak for another game, and that's you got to have something that just takes you down, and settles you. So I love that you have those implemented. Pat, what do you got?
Yeah, man, I'm not going to trap you into meal prepping. I listened to a podcast this morning about, it was Inky Johnson, Ed Milet, and they're talking about how everyone has their own standard, right? But everyone has their different flair, their different seasoning, there's different recipe of getting to their standard, right? And for some people, Noah, that might look boring, but it's got you to be a successful human being, and it allows you. I just see how you operate, man, like from afar. Because Luke, I've never met Noah in person, so looking the way that Noah operates on social media and the love and the emotion, even like in pictures and videos, I can tell your student athletes love you, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to I'll be very candid right away. And like, we've had a lot of people that want to come on and talk about their mental health and talk about their situations. The way you did this from a distance, it might be only a couple hours away from where I'm at, man, is inspiring. So talk about that, man. Talk about your impact on your athletes and social media and in person, of course.
I think, I don't know. I think it helps that I didn't have a overly positive relationship with my college coach. And so it was one of those things for me as a coach. I never wanted to fall victim to that piece. And I think the one thing too is I always look for where I'm messing up, what things I need to do better. And I think that it's had a really positive impact on the kids at times. But I think for me, a lot of the way I go about this profession is what I was wanting, when I was their age. When I was playing college sports, I lacked that relationship. I lacked having, I think, a coach who gave a crap about me. So I think that's my biggest thing is I never want the kids to question that. And they're still, during the grind of season where I get frustrated and I'm not the perfect version, but it's one of those things where I always feel like I do a really good job of checking myself. And I think that was one of the biggest things transitioning to here is my assistant coach. She's with me for both the men and the women, and she's the perfect balance to what I do.
Shout her out. That's pretty cool too.
Incredible. No, I think she's incredible. I think that was one of the biggest things that made this transition was so easy. Is she has no problem checking me. She has no problem telling me what the kids need or don't need. And I think that was something that was so helpful because I think that was one of the things I struggled with so much when I first became a head coach. It's so lonely at times.
Yeah.
And it can be so. I'm just such a worrywart as a person as it is, and so then to feel like you're on an island at times could be even worse. And so I think having her and having someone who respects me enough to be willing to communicate what we need and don't need has been super beneficial. But no, I think it helps that both of us just didn't have the most positive experiences with our coaches in college, and so we've been able to feed off of each other what we feel like works and doesn't work and what the kids need and don't need.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we've kind of heard from a couple different people was they've modeled their successful coaching over unsuccessful coaching that they've had in their past. And it's really interesting to me to see how much of a motivator that can be, right? And how much that inspires people. So I'm sure your current athletes are really appreciative of that. How do you keep, talk me through a regular week and how do you keep the mental health of your athletes kind of in upbeat, right? How do you keep them positive during the week when it's a grind? How do y'all play? Do y'all play 2 games a week, 3 games? What is it?
Oh gosh, I wish there was a consistency. I mean, I think for us, it's typically anywhere from 1 to 4 games a week, and then obviously with the NCAA rules, they always have a day off. And then when we're in season, I'm a really big component of the weight room, obviously. So the kids are lifting twice a week in season, and then out of season, they're probably going like 3 to 4 days a week. So I think for me, it's just I love the Division III like model for so many reasons.
D3.
I'm such a big advocate for D3.
Yes.
But I think the one thing that's made I think the buy-in and keeping the kids locked in has been super easy just because they're not on scholarship. They're here for the
Yeah.
right reasons because they love
Yeah.
their sport. And so I think that's something that I have had a lot less struggle with, compared to like when I was at D2 or NAI, just because the kids are here because they want to be here. They don't need an incentive. They don't need scholarship money. They want to be here because they love the sport and they love the people that they're around. And so I think it has been a lot easier to manage that piece, of keeping them positive. But I mean, it was something we went through this year on the guys' side of we started out really hot and we were rolling for the first couple months and then we kind of hit a slump of we had a couple losses. And when you only have 9 losses on the season and 5 of them are in a row, it can get very, it could make you struggle, And so I think the part that got us through that was just the kids love the crap out of each other. They want to be around each other. I mean, when they're not here, they're with each other. And so I think that made that piece a lot easier. But I think too, it's just being real with them. I think that's where so many coaches fail at times is they try to come up with a perfect answer or a perfect solution where, I felt our losses this year as much as the kids did,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I was right out with them. And I think just being real about that, and being vulnerable, is something that I think more coaches need to be willing to do. And so I think that was something that helped us a lot of just, I was honest with the kids of like, no, I'm struggling. It sucks when we lose, we don't want to lose. And I think just seeing that human side of a coach can, help that relationship piece.
Absolutely.
Man, I absolutely love this, dude. The vulnerability piece, and me and Luke, obviously being college coaches and former college coaches, we all made our share of mistakes, right? We all did things. We all got hot headed. We all, did whatever, right? At times, it's really evident right now in your career that you're leading from the front, right? Like you're in the trenches with your guys, with your girls. You're in the weight room. You're eating right. You're being respectful in the community. Like it's clear as day that you are being that role model for them. So I think that's so powerful. And we've all had coaches where we look back and we're like, that didn't add anything, but I'm going to double down and make up for lost time. And I feel like you've done that. Luke, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm starting to think of, I don't know the positive term for this because I know trauma bond, where people that go through, trauma together have an inherent bond, but it's kind of the opposite here, where they go through positive experiences of difficult times and have a bond because of that. And that's kind of what the weight room is. That's what practices are. That's what tough game losses are. And these kids are going through that with you, and you're leading them through that. And any coaches and teachers that are listening, man, it can be done in a positive light. It takes a little bit more work, right? It's easy to be the negative person, and it's easy to kind of point out what's not going right. But pointing it out and fixing it in a positive way is a little bit different. So props to you, Noah, for doing that.
Well, and I think it's one of those things too that like we've had the conversation so many times this year of if being a college athlete was easy, everybody would do it. Everyone would do it just to get the glory, to get the social media posts, and just being honest about the fact that it's not easy. Even when we're winning, even when we're having a good season. We had one of the best finishes in program history this year, and it was hard. There were so many frustrating days, there were so many frustrating practices. I was pissed off day in, day out, and it's just that's part of it though. It's just if it was easy, everyone would do it. And so being okay with that reality that it's gonna be hard and kind of embracing the suck is where I think the kids just have done so well this year. And I think that was one of the biggest transition pieces for me of just, embracing the suck and turning into a positive thing. And again, it's with the coaching staff, the administration here, and the kids. It's just that transition was so easy.
So,
I love it. Yeah, go ahead.
So talk to me a little bit about your past, Noah. What were some difficult times? Don't have to be a keep going moment because we're a little early for a keep going moment, but talk to me about a difficult time in the past. I know you mentioned some coaches. I know you mentioned, everybody's been through some difficult stuff. What set you up for success, and what have you kind of gone through to get to this point?
Yeah, that transition. I was going there too. I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me as a college, like when I was in college, I went to college for sports. I had no concept of what I wanted to do with my life. I definitely was on a scholarship, and I went to I grew up in Washington. I went to school in Kentucky, and so for me, the only reason why I was in Kentucky was to play a sport. And I think my biggest I think moment where I don't know, it just clicked was where I stopped feeling sorry for myself and my problems. I think that's such a harsh reality at times. Is I self-admitted, when I was in college, there were so many times where I played the victim, and I was so like I'm the only one who goes through these problems. I'm the only one who's getting picked on. I'm the only one who is having a bad game and just focusing on so much like about me. And we kind of joke about it with the boys at times, but it was just at some point I finally just kind of bucked up and made the choice, to work through it and I don't know, go through the grind. And it was something that I think really helped me, was just because I was done complaining about my problems on a personal level, but also as an athlete. And I just took a lot of accountability for, what things I needed to do better. And I think that was kind of my philosophy as a coach, of just being willing to hold myself accountable and being willing to make the corrections. And even though I've been at a whole slew of schools already, I think each time and each position I've had, I've challenged myself to do something better, and not be complacent. And I tell everyone, I think what I did this spring was so much better than I did this fall in Alabama, and I really am hopeful that what I do next fall is better than what I did this spring. And just continually to hold myself accountable and hold myself to that higher standard. But I think for me, that just stemmed from as an athlete. I think my coach did a phenomenal job of pushing us and testing our limits, and so I think for me, as soon as I was able to flip that mindset of just, feeling sorry for myself and then just getting the dang job done, it made life a lot easier in a lot of ways. So I think for me, that's definitely what kind of stemmed my expectations, as a coach.
Yeah, love it.
That's an immaculate answer. And once again, man, I've said this in past episodes. Your face changed when you were talking about that. Like, you could just tell, Luke, like, it was like,
yeah,
you're so passionate about this. And I can tell that wasn't only a transition moment in your playing and coaching career, but it was a life-changing moment for you. Like when that light bulb came on. I think that's super powerful because we've talked about it in past episodes. Like, it just takes that one spark. It just takes that one thing. And all of a sudden, my mindset flips. We're going to have ups, downs, in betweens, like Luke touched on. But like, this is when it kind of all changed for you. And I think that's awesome, man. Good stuff.
100%.
Good stuff.
I got to know, where were you at in Kentucky?
I played at Midway in like right outside of Lexington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm from Pikeville, Kentucky, so I was wondering where you Pike
Okay,
is. They're in AI. Yeah. Okay. Wanted to make sure. I just didn't know if you were over near my neck of the woods.
You Kentucky folk, I don't know what's going on. I got really lost. I think everything just blurred out for me for a second. Right. So I'll try to keep my train of thought back. All right, Noah. So awesome stuff, man. I mean, we're about 17 minutes in, I should say, and I'm absolutely loving it, man. I feel like we're talking like in the kitchen right now, I feel like, but whatever. So I want to move on forward here. So we touched a lot of volleyball stuff, playing, coaching with your players. Talk about more of the mental health side. Like you said, okay, I want to come on this podcast today. Why did you feel like you were a good fit, and what does mental health kind of mean to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it can be such an awkward conversation for no reason. And I think that was something where I've always cared about the mental health piece, and it was something that I experienced it, throughout my college career. And so obviously like it had a personal impact on me. And I think for me, it's such an interesting topic too, because I think sometimes we can misinterpret mental health and mental toughness. And so for me, that was something I struggled with during college. There was times where I thought I was struggling with my mental health and I was just not being mentally tough. And then there was times where I was struggling with my mental health. And so I think, understanding the difference between those two things, just because it's important to understand the difference, because there is a really big difference. And that was something that played a really big impact on myself as a player. And then, now as a coach, it's trying to use my experiences to help benefit my athletes, and I think get them to understand the difference and being willing to utilize the resources. And, we talked about it early on of just everybody has their outlets and they don't need to look the same. They're never going to look the same, but it's what things work for you. And, what you do in season versus out of season looks so different. So understanding that piece too of, when you're out of season, there is a lot more flexibility to prioritize that piece. And you do have a lot more time to do maybe more time consuming things, where when you're in season, there's a lot of times where, you just got to get through that moment, get through that day, and give your 100%, and I think that's something that we've talked a lot about the kids of everyone's 100% looks a little bit different. So what does yours look like today, and making sure that you're giving that piece is super important to me.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I kind of spaced out about halfway through that because I'm thinking about how I'm going to go to Rockford U today. I'm going to get my transcripts. I'm going to get in the gym. 5'9" libero. I'm coming home. Fond du Lac, I'm coming home. I'm coming back. I'm playing. Like this is the kind of coach, though, in all seriousness, this is the kind of guy you want to play for, Luke. I'm fired up. Go ahead, Luke.
Absolutely. No, I was just thinking about that a little bit earlier. Put this in every welcome brochure in the country for coaches getting hired, and this is this is the template, right?
Yeah, man. This is not a game winner. This is a life changer that we have on today on this Sunday morning. And that inspires me, Noah. And you should be so proud of who you are and your growth in your young career. Because how old are you?
I'm 23.
Come on.
Dude, are you kidding me? I'm about to say, man, I'm 29 sitting here, and I'm sitting here learning from you, man.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not always like that.
Yeah, true.
Like, it's not always like that.
That's very true.
We've been through it. Like, my girlfriend now is 23, and she's got a maturity level of someone that has been through a lot of life. But not everyone is like that in their young 20s. I was not. No. I was definitely not. So, man, that's inspiring. Man, the youth is in good hands, my
100%.
man. The youth is in good hands.
100%.
Cool. All right, let's do this, Noah. So I know I want to touch on this because we are dancing all around it, man. I need your keep going moment now because we're momentum switched like really nice here. So go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, I think for me, my keep going moment would definitely be, I would say when I made the switch during my college career to, go through the weight loss. It was something I've been super public about on social media.
Yes.
When I was, a college athlete, I was 400 pounds.
Yeah.
And I still had a way to, I don't know, do the job I was asked to do. And I think for me, it was, I don't know what necessarily, no, actually, I would say, I think for me, it was just, I flipped the switch and I was so tired of being uncomfortable in my own skin. And I was so tired of not, being able to play at my full capacity and do what I could from an athletic standpoint. So I think my keep going moment was, when I was just so tired of wasting my eligibility, wasting life, I felt like at times, and that really just pushed me to, prioritize my health and fitness, prioritize my mental health, prioritize, me and be selfish in a lot of ways. And, I think there can be such a negative connotation of being selfish, and sometimes you need to be selfish.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, it was, I flipped the switch and I started making a lot better choices, in the cafeteria, in the weight room. My schedule was a lot more organized, but it took me, until my, I would say late junior year, start of senior year of college to make that choice. And I think for me, it was just one of those things because, once I started to lose the weight, one of the biggest, like as silly as it sounds, it was like one of the coolest moments I remember was stepping on a scale and seeing a 3 instead of a 4.
Yeah.
And it was something I never saw that. And so now that I'm, in the 2s, it's such a crazy concept. And,
amazing, man.
It's one of those things that just really, it forced me to keep going, and I think it gave me a lot of hope. And everyone knows how special hope can be, and so I think for me it was, if I could go through that, drop 200 pounds in the last couple of years, what else could I do? And just kind of give myself that hope to keep going.
Yeah. And that's an everyday choice. You wake up every day and you make that choice, and that takes some real mental strength and mental toughness, like you were talking about. Man, that is truly powerful. Truly powerful.
Yeah, no, I have a couple of things to spin off of that. You talked about doing things for you and the difference between doing things for you and being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because there's more I want to kind of unpack there.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm such a social battery person, and so when my social battery is out, it's out. And there was a lot of times, during when I was in college, where my social battery would be dead, but my friends wanted to go out or they wanted to go do something, and I just prioritized them instead of being a little bit selfish for myself and giving myself what I needed. And there was times where, especially my senior year, I mean, I never went to a party. I never did anything social because for me, I had to be selfish and choose, do I want to go to this party or do I want to go to the gym? And for me, I knew where my focuses were. I knew what I wanted to get out of, this journey, per se, of what I've been doing. And so I think for me, when I talk about being selfish, I had to be selfish in a really positive way to prioritize myself. I didn't want to hang out with my friends. I wanted to go to the gym and take care of myself physically and mentally, and that can be looked at as such a from outsider perspective. I can look at they looked at me at times and said I was being selfish and not prioritizing the friend group. And for me, I agreed. I was being selfish and prioritizing myself, and that's not a bad thing. It's one of those choices I really had to make to go through, everything I did and get to where I'm at right now. And, I've talked about being selfish in this profession. I'm on school number 4 or 5 now. I've clearly been selfish to an extent and jumped on opportunities and learned as much as I could and, made myself a better coach, that following season. So, I think for me, when I talk about being selfish, it's been such a positive thing for me as a person, just because I don't know if I'd be at where I'm at, if I wasn't selfish at times.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And
Luke,
that's kind
I
of
saw
your
Luke.
cue.
I saw Luke going like this. I was like,
No,
yeah,
it's a
I
cue
knew
for
it.
the people that, always take care of other people to take care of themselves. We've got quite a few of those people that listen to this podcast. The nature of kind of mental health right now is a lot about, doing what you can for your community. We've talked about that a ton, but it's the fill your cup thing, right? You can only fill others when yours is full. So this is kind of those people's cue, right? Take this week and do what you need to do for yourself. Start implementing those things you need to do for yourself to get yourself right to help others.
Yeah, man. It goes back to being your own hero, man. If you don't put your own cape on, you can't fly for others.
100%.
Like, that's what it comes down to. You have to be your own hero at the end of the day. And I think listening to Noah, I don't think anyone's ever explained it like that. And I think that's a fantastic, that's a kudos to you.
I think it's specific to, or not, maybe not specific, but it's prevalent in teaching and coaching, especially for younger guys like us, like kind of party lifestyle in college. Kind of. We partied in college, and you deal with a hangover, and you kind of go about your day. But now, 27 or 28, 2 years ago, when I was teaching off a hangover, it was impossible. So I wasn't giving my best self, right? And so now I know I can't make those commitments to go party on a Saturday night or to go party on a Sunday night anymore because I know I'm not going to be there for my students or my athletes after that. So you got to be selfish in a way.
Yeah, I think the worst part, go ahead, Noah, I'm going to go to you, but the worst part is not showing up for yourself. I don't know. I felt like not only are you letting people down, but you have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, I hate this. Go ahead, Noah.
Well, and I think too, as a coach, it's something that's so easy to lose sight of just because this profession can be so draining and so time consuming. There hasn't been a single day, in the last however many years that I haven't thought about the team I'm with, or the program I'm part of, just because this profession consumes so much of you. And I love it for that reason. But on top of that, I can't show up and expect to give everything I can if I don't do what I need to be able to do that,
Right.
So that's where, for me, going to the gym and just being aloof for an hour and a half to 2 hours and lifting, it gets me in the right headspace. It allows me to be able to come in and give everything I can to both programs. On top of it too, the piece I think has been not exhausting, but it's been a transition is I'm in the gym, 4 to 5 hours a day with both teams right now or now just the women's, but a couple of weeks ago with both teams going 4 to 5 hours of my day I was spent, practicing. And so I think for me that was such a hard transition from, typically it's just 2 to 3.
Right.
And And so I think for me, I've had to be selfish when I moved here. I need to go to the gym in the mornings. I need to make sure I have my release, because if I don't do those things, I'm not going to be able to give what I can to either team, and at best maybe one of them. And so I think that was something that I've had to really check myself since January of just running 2 programs. It's definitely exhausting, but there's a lot of things I can do to make it a successful experience, for them and my staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, I'm not good for anyone if I'm not good for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amen. Love it. All right. Well, I want to go into rapid fire questions. I'm looking up at the clock. I'm going to have Luke start because I love his selfishly. So I'll have Luke go first.
Favorite position on the court in volleyball?
Middle, because I can never do it.
I like it. I like that. Second one coming in hot at you. I'm starting my weight loss journey today. What would you recommend for people? First thing.
Identify what your goals are. I mean, just saying that you want to lose weight is such a generic thing. Do you want to get muscle? Because I think that was one of the biggest things I struggled with probably a year ago. Of muscle weighs a lot more than fat, and so understanding what your goals are with it, and then I think set a plan and find a way to hold yourself accountable. Do what is going to work best for you, but I also think be willing to ask for help. I think that was one of the biggest things. Is I had no concept of nutrition. I did not know how to lift. I mean, when I was in college, my lifting was us going on the line and doing a set of 16. So for me,
Yeah.
I had no concept of what the weight room looked like or what the heck I was supposed to do when I was in there. So I think be willing to ask for help, and make sure that you're doing things that are actually benefiting, what your specific goals are. Just because, again, your weight loss journey looks so different than mine. So just be honest about that.
Yeah.
I agree. Anybody here, I'm going to stay here for kind of part B to that. Anybody that you can shout out during that journey for you, like that was huge in your kind of weight loss journey?
Oh gosh. I mean, I wish I was like one person. It was just a whole slew of people.
That's a good problem to have, man.
Yeah, no, I think one of the people that like stick out in my brain after the fact was my former head coach when I was living in Pennsylvania. Just because I was, I was probably like 200 pounds down by that point, but he was really big on like checking me of like, did you go to the gym today? Did you do what you wanted to? And so I think just that after it felt like I crossed the finish line in a lot of ways of like, okay, cool, I'm 200 pounds now. That was a big goal for me, but I wasn't done. And so I think it would have been so easy to get complacent when I was living in Pennsylvania. And so I think he was incredible for holding me accountable after the fact. But I think during it, I mean, everyone at Midway that I hung around every day, my friend groups, the people I worked with, the staff, the faculty. I mean, my advisor in college is one of the most incredible people I've ever met, and he was super supportive during that transition. So I don't know. I think I just got really lucky with everyone at Midway was really supportive and really, I don't know, positive, and it wasn't something to be embarrassed about. It was something to be proud about. So I think everyone at Midway, I mean, I'm obsessed with that school and I love it to pieces. And so I think just that community there was huge for me during that time. Cause I went through it with, I had to figure out how to eat, nutritionally correct in the cafeteria, and so even the cafeteria staff was so helpful of like, if there's not something that you can have, come, we will make you something. Like we want to support you during this. And so that's why I love the small campus communities, even now as an adult, just because I had that as a kid, like as a college kid. And if it wasn't for all of that support, I don't know if it would have been as successful as it was.
Yeah.
Takes a village. Go ahead, Luke. What's your next question?
That's amazing.
Go ahead, Luke.
Mine is, you're a head coach now, and I know you've been an assistant for a couple years as well. For all the coaches out there, what should they be looking for when they hire an assistant?
Someone who's willing to grind, someone who wants to learn. I think that's, I don't know if I'll ever find a better assistant than what I have right now. I think Jordan is the exact definition of what assistants should be. She's willing to ask questions. She's willing to not know. I think coaches sometimes look for people with they know every answer to every question specific to their sport. And the one thing I love about Jordan is that she's just very self-admitted. She's like, I don't know, but I'll learn. And so I think someone with a growth mindset, someone who's willing to buy into this career, and then I also think someone who's loyal to a fault. I can't get over how lucky I have it right now with Jordan. And so I think, when hiring an assistant coach is just super important. Does that person match your moral expectations? Do they match your culture expectations? Is that someone that you want to spend, 10 hours a day with, 6 days a week? I think it's just, you're around that person so much. So I think just someone who matches what your expectations are. And that looks so different for everybody. I think when I got hired as an assistant in Pennsylvania, Glenn needed someone who was very type A busybody. I don't think I had the highest IQ of the game, when I was there. But I could grind out the office work like nobody's business. And Glenn is self-admitted the worst person in the office ever, because he just wants to walk around and hang out with everybody and talk to everybody. And so I think he was really smart about the way he went through the hiring process, just because he found someone who was so opposite than him. And he just has such a high IQ of the game. And I don't know if I will ever work with a better volleyball coach than him. But he hates the office stuff, and it just adds so much stress to his life. So bringing me in, where I love to be busy, I love to do the office work stuff, was a really good match. And then I think coming in and absorbing Jordan, because she was here before I got here, I got so lucky because she matched me perfect, So I think just be honest with what things are important to you as a head coach, and bring in someone that you want to spend 10 hours a day with.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and I got one more, and we'll wrap up here. Shout out to the head coaches that gave us a shot.
Yeah.
Shout out Chad Herron, and I have to say a shout out to my guy Rock Valley at the time. This was 5-6 years ago now. Gave a kid with a dream a shot. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. Luke, if you want to shout out,
no, absolutely. Brian Walker gave me a shot right out of college at Tennessee Wesleyan. He's still one of my good buddies today. We talk at least 3 or 4 times a week. He's still down there. And a tough situation at Tennessee Wesleyan. He doesn't get the most funding for his program, and he's really got to grind and recruit really hard in the offseason to make it what he wants it to be. And they were conference champs, and, have a really strong roster down there. So I learned how to work hard, from him and that example that he set. So shout out B-Walk.
Heck yeah. And then we'll wrap. But shout out all the high school and college coaches that take those shots on young guys, young bulls that come in. We might not have the IQs right away, but we're going to grind our off every day.
We got the energy.
We got 3 guys on here today that came in. I don't know what the heck's going on, but I'm going to give you all I got, So I love it. Noah, let's do this, man. This has been an absolute blessing and an honor to have you on. My cards are on the table. My chips are all in. There will be a Noah Ray statue somewhere at the end of time.
Yeah.
I'm putting I've never said that in the pod before. My chips are in, man. You are an impact-driven individual, and I love who you are. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I'm too close not to meet you in person, so I'm looking forward to that. But I just want to give you your flowers, man. Talk about someone that we might not have covered that you want to get accomplished on the podcast today.
Oh, wait, one more time?
Yeah, so podcast today, just giving you your flowers. Is there anything that you didn't touch on that you really want to get across today?
I think, I don't know, I felt like we covered a lot.
That's a good thing.
No, I think the biggest thing for me, it was just, I think everyone's story is so different. So it was just, I was more or less curious of what pieces were important of mine, just for people, just because I think, again, being a head coach can be so lonely and you're just on an island. So I feel like I had, decent things to share. It's just that I never know what things are good or not good.
Hey, it was all great today.
If you want the right answer, it was all great, man.
It was all great today.
Sounded good.
Yeah, man. You're great, man.
No, I think I don't know. I think the biggest takeaway for me that's gotten me to where I was really understanding the difference of, mental health and mental toughness, and being willing to take accountability and, work through it and be honest with what you need. And that applies to coaching, and that applies to being an athlete. And I think it's just, again, there's been such a awkward connotation with those kind of conversations, and being willing to ask for help when you need it. And I think for something, it's just normalizing asking for help and being honest with what kind of help you need. And Lord knows my assistant gets me asking for help on a daily basis. So it's something, even as a head coach, I definitely find myself asking for help around those around me, to put me in check. Just because, I don't know, you can't be complacent in this profession. You can't be complacent as an athlete. And so I think always looking for, what can you do today 1% better than yesterday?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Noah, you are, like I said, man, you are a fantastic human being. This is usually when me and Luke say, send over your gear package. I want to support your program. I'm not wearing Marian stuff. Like, I'm not doing it. So I just want to be very honest. That's not going to happen. But we do want to support your guys and girls any way we can on behalf of the pod. So if you do volunteering stuff, charity stuff, let us know, man. Like, any way we could ever help you, man, I'd love to, for sure.
No, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, no, thanks for jumping on the pod today. It's not easy to come on here and tell your story. I tell that to everybody that comes on. So you did a great job, though. You made it look natural, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Sure, I'll take it.
Awesome. Thanks, Noah. Keep going, my man. We appreciate you, brother.
Peace.
Thanks, you guys.
Keep going.
Yes, sir.